j'ai du soleil vert, des dentelles et des théières, des photos de bord de mer, dans mon jardin d'hiver. Je voudrais de la lumière, comme en Nouvelle-Angleterre. Je veux changer d'atmosphère, dans mon jardin d'hiver. Ma robe à fleurs, sous la pluie de novembre, tes mains qui courent, je n'en peux plus de t'attendre. Les années passent, il est loin, là je tombe. Nul ne peut nous entendre. Je voudrais du Fred Astaire, revoir un latte.
I want to talk now more about President Trump's collision course, with the scientists on his coronavirus task force, as we just mentioned, contradicting Dr. Anthony Fauci tonight, specifically on testing capacity in the United States.
We absolutely need to significantly ramp up not only the number of tests, but the capacity to actually perform them, so that you don't have a situation where you have a test, but it can't be done because there's not a swab or not an extraction media or not the right vial. All of those things got to be in place. I am not overly confident right now at all that we have what it takes to do that. We're getting better and better at it as the weeks go by, but we are not in a situation where we say we're exactly where we want to be with regard to testing.
Again, testing, we're doing very well on testing. And within a short period of time, you'll be hearing about new tests that are coming out that are going to be incredible. Steve,
Dr. Fauci, that we're just not there yet.
No, I don't agree with him on that. No, I think we're doing a great job in testing. I don't agree. If he said that, I don't agree with him.
And that comes as one of President Trump's top doctors says he was pulled from working on a coronavirus vaccine because he wanted more vetting for that anti-malaria drug, hydroxychloroquine, that the president frequently touted as a treatment. In the president's words, possible game changer was his favored description for that. Out front now, Joel Clement. He spent 7 years at the Interior Department under both President Obama and President Trump. Says he was reassigned as a top climate change official under President Trump as retaliation for his views on climate change. So, Joel, thanks for being with me. Let me just ask you, how much pressure, when people are trying to understand, when the president comes out and says one thing, and some of the members of the task force are more polite than others in terms of how they push back, how much pressure comes from the president to push his desired narratives, despite what the science may say?
Well, the political pressure is immense, not just from the president, but from his cabinet members on scientists and professionals and experts, partly because now we know they have this anti-science agenda, which is to suppress the science, promote theories, marginalize and sideline scientists and experts, and promote people who are willing to toe the party line. And that means that they're going to punish those who don't toe the party line. So there's a constant tension between the civil servants who are there to protect us and these political appointees.
So, Dr. Fauci, obviously there's that difference on testing. And Dr. Fauci is in line with, the science. Ashish Jha from the Harvard Global Health Director said to me, I haven't met a single professional who doesn't think we need a lot more testing. Moments after the president said, there's a lot of professionals out there who aren't that big on testing. Well, there aren't. Dr. Fauci, of course, has been pushing testing. He's been saying coronavirus is not going away moments after the president said that it might go away. Tonight, Dr. Fauci was not at that White House briefing. Do you think in any way that his job, his position may be in danger because he continually is going against the president on some of these crucial issues, whether it be hydroxychloroquine not being, ready, or testing, or the virus itself?
Well, certainly his job's in danger. I think we're all holding our breath hoping he keeps it. But we're seeing evidence from within the agencies that jobs like that are in danger. We've recently heard about Dr. Bright at BARDA and his reassignment, which was very similar to what I went through as a whistleblower at Interior. So that constant concern about our professionals in there who are looking to protect us is warranted. And I sure hope, as does most of America, that Dr. Fauci keeps that job, because we need experts there. We cannot be taking our advice from the president, certainly, on this issue.
And you talk about the Dr. Fauci issue. Of course, you mentioned Rick Bright. Yesterday, President Trump claimed that his CDC director, Robert Redfield, was going to make a correction, right? The Washington Post had reported, and put in quotes, that Redfield said a second wave of coronavirus in the fall could be worse. And Redfield then, when read the quote directly, admitted it was accurate. Here's that example and another, Joel.
He was misquoted, totally misquoted.
I'm accurately quoted in the Washington Post.
That might not come back at all, Jeff. It may not come back at all.
We will have coronavirus in the fall.
So what goes on behind the scenes when we hear that in front of the cameras?
Honestly, Aaron, I haven't the faintest idea how they're handling that, because that is unprecedented. This level of political interference in the scientific work that's taking place to protect us is unprecedented, and we've certainly seen this. There was a survey done 2 years ago by my colleagues at the Union of Concerned Scientists that they surveyed federal scientists in 16 different agencies, and they found even 2 years ago there was an unprecedented level of political interference in science. In fact, there's a paper that was just published today analyzing those results. So this is new territory. I think we're all wondering how on earth a president of the United States can be saying these kinds of things in public. These kinds of conversations may have happened in the past, but certainly not in the public eye, and certainly not with the intent to sideline scientists and to grab the spotlight away from the experts. It's really remarkable, and frankly, I can't imagine what it's like to be in that room.
It is Friday, the 24th of April of 2020, and you are in West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy. I am your chef de cuisine, Justice Putnam, and our daily special is Blue Moon Spirits Fridays, because we are all Nighthawks in the diner of life, and if we're going to be putting alcohol into our systems, it will not be isopropyl. No, we are fully aware that the only true antiseptic is the French 77. It will cure you of what ails you? Maybe. No, it'll just make you forget. Did you know that if you have some bleach around the house, maybe some Lysol? Now, I don't know where you're going to get the ultraviolet light emitter, but you might be able to get a cure for the COVID. And I'm very sad that a lot of people are probably going to try that. The makers of Lysol actually came out this morning and refuted Trump's suggestion that you inject Lysol. Spray it in your lungs. Manufacturers of Lysol had to refute that, and I am sure that Donald Trump will disagree with the makers of Lysol and probably take away any tax breaks that they might be getting right now, because he is transactional, isn't he? So, shouldn't even the President of the United States be held to the dictum that you cannot practice medicine without a license? Yeah, I mean, I know he keeps saying, "Hey, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a doctor. I'm just a guy with a lot of common sense." No, you do not have a lot of common sense, fella. Because I got to tell you, common sense would say, do not drink bleach, do not spray your lungs with Lysol, and shoving up an ultraviolet light emitter up your, getting an enema. Everybody says, "Oh, let's put it down our throats." No. It's going to be an enema. And it kind of makes me wonder how Howard Hughes went that route. Kind of makes you wonder, whenever Trump starts talking about this stuff, it's always projection. Oh, speaking of projection, Espy, the Department of Defense lobbyist, who's Secretary of Defense now. Wow, what a world we live in. Is out warning everybody that looks like maybe our enemies, which might be our allies even, because our allies are our worst enemies, But they may try to, they with a capital T, may be trying to militarize coronavirus and use it against U.S. interests. Which is pretty good. That's pretty good, because as coronavirus sweeps the globe and the major player in not stopping it, because he told everybody to drink bleach, spray your lungs with Lysol, and shove up an ultraviolet light emitter enema, shove that up your rear, is responsible for the virus not being stifled, stopped. And then you can say, oh, look, it's been weaponized. It's militarized. Our enemies, which could be our allies, because according to Trump, our allies are our worst enemies, might be trying to use coronavirus against us. How dare they? Well, in Trump world, everything is projection. So it kind of makes you wonder when he starts talking, hey, maybe this stuff was made in a lab in China. Yeah, well, I don't know. China, Georgia, maybe. I don't know. China, Illinois. Come on. This guy gets away with it. Why? Well, I would say watch the movie L.A. Confidential. I don't know why it hasn't been making the rounds. Watch L.A. Confidential. I think you'll figure out even the name of the guy who gets away with it. Okay? This is the guy who gets away with it. But he's not going to get away with it for long. I'm pretty sure that even with Russian help, it's going to be pretty damn hard for him to get reelected. Damn hard. But what did we say the last time? This guy would really win. Anyway, what is it also? I'm on a Friday rant, so let me get it off my chest. Why is it that, quote, liberals, end quote, want to blame Obama for Flint? To sort of like take the onus off of Trump for, saying drink bleach. And I think the gambit is to show, Obama was just as crazy as Trump. What is it about so-called, I gotta say they're white too, white liberals that have this thing against Obama? It's almost like they're, I don't know, racist? Oh, and one other thing. I've been hearing a lot of scuttlebutt out there. Scuttlebutt? That Sean King, yeah, we know him, is just a Rachel Dolezal. And I have also seen scuttlebutt that says that is being very disrespectful to Rachel Dolezal because she put in the work. All right. You'll have to figure that one out for yourself. Okay, let's get into what's on the rest of the menu here on the Bistro Cafe of West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy. On this Blue Moon Spirits Fridays, don't drink bleach, drink a French 77, but with friends at, 6 feet apart, okay? I guess if you're in your own family, it doesn't matter at this point. But, if you're sheltering in place, I don't know. Don't use Zoom. I actually think that, I've been hearing many people say that Skype is a much more secure platform in which to teleconference. So do that. That's what we do here at Networks Radio. Anyway, get on Skype or the platform of your choice and get some FaceTime with some friends and drink a French 77. It may not cure COVID, but it will pin you to your couch if you drink more than 2, so don't do that, okay? You got many things to do, even though you're sheltering. Well, on the rest of the menu here, Trump disagreed with Dr. Fauci on U.S. testing capacity because Trump has seen the bleached light. Oh, yeah, and Fauci wasn't at the presser yesterday. What's up with that? Yeah, he's being sent to the corner. On the rest of the menu, the Supreme Court, actually, this is surprising, sided with a small Connecticut company in a trademark infringement case against fashion leader Fossil. Oh, yeah, the little guy wins, finally. In this court, the Federal Reserve will provide monthly reports on its economic rescue programs after large publicly traded companies drain the first tranche of funds dry. Wow. Apparently they're being embarrassed into giving the funds back. We'll see how many do that. And the House of Representatives accused Trump of trying to scapegoat the World Health Organization as committees open probes into the federal response to the pandemic. Oh, yeah. And now we're going to blame our allies for using coronavirus against us because they are our enemies, arch enemies. After the break, we move to the chef's table, where Greenlanders said they welcome U.S. investment in their island, but the money has to come without conditions. Well, good luck with that. You're dealing with mobsters. They're going to come back later for a favor. And a U.S. warship sailed through the Taiwan Strait for the second time in a month in an attempt to rattle viral sabers. See what I did there? All that and more on West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy. Bon appetit. Bottom of our homepage at netrootsradio.com. To the rightish of the page is our chat room link. And, of course, our chat room is monitored, and it is monitored by Kelly Lincoln. Thank you, Kelly. To the leftish of the chat room link that just happens to be at the bottom of our homepage, that just happens to be at netrootsradio.com. To the leftish there, you will see our Patreon link. And we just happen to have that there because if you could become a recurring Patreon of Netroots Radio, that recurring contribution every month helps us pay our bills. And, well, you know, we have to get newish machinery. We do it in stages because that's the way you do it when you're Resistance Radio. We're not getting Soros money. We're not getting stimulus checks. Wow. We're lucky to be able to do this without them shutting us down. And why would they do that? Because the powers that be are the powers that be. So as long as we're able to fly under the radar, and how do we do that? Well, we pay our bills. Yes, we do. And we do it with your help. Thank you very much. There are a few of you who have been sending us the cost of an espresso-type coffee drink, sometimes 3 or 4 a month. Thank you. Those funds that come our way are able to be stretched beyond compare, even on the quantum level, because we are mechanics in the subatomic realm. How do we do it? Well, by grit and fortitude. Yes. I don't know, some other physical properties too, yet to be discovered. But we're able to do it, and we are able to do it because of your generosity, and that is no joke. And it's no joke that we are forever grateful that you've been doing that. For 9 years going on 10 years of continuous broadcasting, 24/7, 365. You know, I've had a shoulder surgery in the midst of that, and we did not stop broadcasting. Wow. How do we do it? Grit and fortitude. And dedicated team members. Thank you. And we thank you as well. If you would like to follow Netroots Radio on Twitter, you can do so at Netroots Radio. Tom takes care of that and so much more. Indeed. Thank you, Tom. I take care of myself. Yeah. There's been a few people who've tried. But they found the folly of that. So anyway, I take care of at Justice Putnam, and I post the show notes and links diary on Daily Kos about 10 minutes before showtime. Get that linked up on social media, even Facebook. For now, I'm still able to post. We'll see how long that lasts. And if you would like to follow the show on Twitter, do so at Cookbook West. Pick up podcasts by way of Spreaker, Stitcher, TuneIn, iHeart, YouTube, iTunes, and wherever podcasts can be found. All right. Okay, I'm still a bit upset about the increasingly bizarre medical suggestions being proffered by Donald Trump in the White House. This is not only the height of irresponsibility, I think it should be criminal. And I know the House of Representatives are doing what they can do. I mean, we tried to impeach this guy, but as long as we have Moscow Mitch, the Grim Reaper, and the graveyard of the Senate, I guess the coup is still going on. And I would hope that we are able to marshal ourselves for this November election. We need to. It's our civic duty to wrest control of our country back, because what is being legislated now from the White House, I guess it's legislation, what is being ordered, what is happening between Mitch McConnell, Moscow Mitch McConnell, the Republican Party, and the White House is not a representative democracy, anything but. So we need to get out the vote efforts, and I guess it's going to be one of those moral issues being argued once again. You're going to have the people who believe in the right to drink bleach against those of us who say, if you drink bleach, that's an idiotic thing, and we're not going to do it. And that's going to be the forces arrayed against each other, and we'll have at it. Okay? Oh, boy. Especially since there's all those non-bleach disinfectants that are probably just as dangerous to your body. What's it about Lysol? At least Lysol came out and said, hey, you know what Trump said? Don't do it. Don't do it. And you know why? Because they have to follow the law. And their insurance companies, too. Let's be clear, because they're going to get sued. And apparently you can't sue Trump, not while he's president of the United States. And when he's no longer president of the United States, I think Vlad has some plans for him. Indeed. All right, let's dive into this first offering here in the Bistro Cafe of West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy. This is the first part of the whole salon, because we also have the chef's table and a couple of amuse-bouche. Oh, my. Anonymous worker bees at the Associated Press bring us this first offering. The Supreme Court is making it easier to get certain monetary awards in trademark infringement lawsuits. The justices sided unanimously. Unanimously! What is this? Is this like a Warren court again? How did this happen? Well, they sided unanimously with a Connecticut company, Romag, in its lawsuit against fashion accessory company Fossil. Romag sells magnetic snaps that fasten wallets, handbags, and other leather goods. Oh, you mean the kind that wipe your debit card and credit card clean from any data? That magnetic strip? Be careful. Well, Fossil signed an agreement to use Romag fasteners in its products, but Romag later sued after learning that the factories Fossil hired in China to make its products were using counterfeit Romag fasteners. Wow. I guess it was cheaper. A jury sided with Romag, but said the company hadn't proved that Fossil's trademark infringement was willful. The Supreme Court said yesterday, Thursday, that under federal law, trademark infringement does not need to be found to be intentional for Romag to be awarded the profits Fossil earned thanks to its trademark violation. Now, Fossil is based in Texas. Oh, really? Romag said in a statement that it was pleased with the decision, which will, quote, incentivize manufacturers to protect against counterfeiting in their increasingly global supply chains and will help protect the rights of small intellectual property owners such as Romag. Martin Krunzinger of the Associated Press brings us this next offering here in the Bistro Cafe of West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy, Blue Moon Spirits Fridays. The Federal Reserve said that it will provide monthly reports on several of its economic rescue programs, supported by the $2 trillion rescue program passed by Congress. The central bank is committed to transparency and accountability by providing the public and Congress detailed information about our actions to support the economy during this difficult time, Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell said. The Fed said that it will supply the names and details about participants in the programs. It will also disclose the amounts borrowed and the interest rates being charged on the loans, as well as the Fed program's overall costs, revenues, and fees. Wait until Trump finds out about this. The rescue effort has come under criticism after disclosures that some major publicly traded companies, had obtained forgivable loans from the government's Paycheck program. The program quickly ran out of money, leaving many small and mid-sized companies unable to obtain the loans. Yeah, I love their reasoning. We'll give it to the banks. They'll know what to do. Congress on Thursday, which was yesterday, passed legislation providing more support for the program, and Treasury has said it will seek to get some companies to give back the support they received. The Fed's monthly disclosures will cover programs it has established to bolster the economy using support from the $2 trillion coronavirus relief bill that Congress passed last month. The bill provided $454 billion with a B to Treasury to use to support up to $4.5 trillion in Fed lending through such programs as a Main Street lending program. Well, don't you know, Main Street's been moved to where the Walmart is now. Other support programs that the Fed has rolled out that do not receive support from the rescue package will not be subject to monthly reporting requirements. Oh, you mean the support programs that go directly into Trump's pocket and wallet? Or maybe even his account at Deutsche Bank. Maybe they're not going to be following the money there. The Fed said that for some of those programs, the specific support amounts and those receiving the loans will not be revealed until 1 year after the program has ended. Oh, you mean when Trump is living in a penthouse in Gorky Park next to Steven Seagal, living the good life? Okay, we'll see about that. It said this delayed reporting is in line with requirements in the Dodd-Frank Act, which was passed in 2010, when the black guy was president, to deal with bank abuses uncovered during the 2008 financial crisis. The House, meanwhile, also voted to create a new subcommittee that will track the aid. The House Oversight and Reform Subcommittee will supplement the work of other watchdogs, including a committee of inspectors general before they'll be fired, a congressional panel of experts. Yeah, they'll be shown to be Democrats, and you can't trust us. And a special Treasury Department official probably will be undermined by some political appointment from the White House. Patricia Zangurli of Reuters brings us this final offering here in the Bistro Cafe of West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy. U.S. House of Representative Democrats. Okay, Patricia, I'll keep reading. Accuse the Trump administration of trying to scapegoat the World Health Organization to distract from its handling of the coronavirus outbreak and urged an immediate restoration of funding to the UN health body, according to a letter seen by Reuters. The letter to Republican president, like we don't know he's a repug. Yeah, and it's now the House of Representative Democrats. This is where we are, folks. It's the House of Representatives, okay? They are the ones issuing this proclamation. So let's go on here. Well, that letter to Trump was dated on Wednesday, the same day Secretary of State Mike Pompeo told the propaganda channel Fox News the United States might never restore funding to the WHO. Trump suspended U.S. contributions to the World Health Organization on April 14th, accusing it of being China-centric and promoting China's disinformation about the outbreak instead of ours. WHO officials have denied this, and China insists that it has been transparent and open except for the fact that, they did stifle the doctor who discovered the virus was in Wuhan, and he tried to alert people, and he did, and then he contracted the virus, and they tried to muzzle him and charged him with a state crime, and then he died. Now, now the United States, remember, is the World Health Organization's biggest donor. So this policy is profoundly misguided and appears to be an effort to scapegoat the World Health Organization in order to deflect attention from your administration's mismanaged and politicized response to the pandemic. Send the letter, led by House Foreign Affairs Committee Chairman Eliot Engel and signed by all 26 of the panel's Democratic members. Well, that's because the repugs are on the take. Trump's handling of the outbreak has been criticized by Democrats, as well as some of his fellow Republicans, and I would say most of America and the world, too. State governors from both parties have asked for more help to shore up their budgets and provide equipment to overwhelmed hospitals, but Donnie, like a true mob boss, will dole it out when you kiss his ass. The outbreak of the new coronavirus began last year. They say late last year in China. Well, it could have been November, maybe even earlier. And maybe not even in China, but we'll see. Now, according to a Reuters tally, the disease has killed more than 180,000 people globally, with nearly 48,000 dead in the United States. Is the worst hit country by official statistics. 48,000 is now bigger than that today. Excuse me. The U.S. has been the biggest overall donor to the organization, contributing over $400 million in 2019, roughly 15% of its budget, because it's in our interest to make sure we don't die from pandemics. So why did Trump take CDC and World Health Organization members who were U.S. citizens, scientists, out of China in November? Why did he do that? The U.S. Congress controls federal spending and could pass legislation to guarantee funding for the organization. However, to become law, it would need to garner enough support, including from Trump's Republicans, not just to pass, but to override a likely veto. Okay, as long as the repugs are on the take, we're going to have to wait for Biden to right the ship of state. Especially when we take over the Senate, too. Well, that brings us to our break, and when we get back from that break, we will go through weather from around the world and finish up with the stories that we have curated for you today. You are listening to West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy, and we will be right back.
You are listening to netrootsradio.com.
Please hang up and try again.
From a point at sea to the circles of your mind, a new force is at work for planetary transformation. New radio for a new Earth.
This is Scientific American's 60-Second Science. I'm Steve Mirsky.
And with this coronavirus, the hopeful thing is how communities, individuals have got together by helping each other.
That is Jane Goodall during a teleconference last week. Wednesday, April 22nd is the 50th Earth Day, and on Wednesday, Goodall will take part in day-long programming on the National Geographic Channel. During the teleconference last week, she was asked what gives her hope during this pandemic.
The incredible courage of the people on the front line, the doctors, the nurses, risking and sometimes losing their lives. And, of course, we shall get through this. And the big hope is that this time we will pay attention to the cause of the pandemic, which is our disrespect of nature and the animals and the destruction of the environment, forcing animals into closer contact with each other and some of them with humans, the trafficking, the hunting, the killing, the wet markets, the intensive animal farms, domestic animals, and all of that is creating conditions for a virus to jump from one species to another.
Goodall was also asked how she hoped the world might change because of the pandemic.
How I hope it will change and how it changes are two different things in this particular case. I think probably millions of people, especially those living in cities, have experienced for the first time what it's like to breathe fresh air and to see the stars at night, and even see wild animals at closer quarters. And I think those people will, and I think other people too, have seen this as a wake-up call that we've disrespected nature and we've got to start changing the way that we act, and we've got to rethink the way we live. We've got to get away from this consumerism, materialism that puts economic development ahead of environmental protection, which is damaging the future generations of humans and animals. The fear as to whether this will make a sea change, the fear is that we have so many political leaders around the world right now, and I fear that they will want to get back to business as usual as quickly as possible, and even redouble it to make up for lost time.
For Scientific American's 60-Second Science, I'm Steve Mirsky.
Hi, I'm Tom Hartman, and since you're listening to netrootsradio.com, show your progressive side and go to the donate button on the bottom of the homepage. It's progressives like you who power Netroots Radio and keep the progressive message beaming everywhere 24 hours a day. Just go to our donate button at the bottom of netrootsradio.com. Thank you for keeping progressive radio at full power.
During this pandemic, should voters be forced to congregate together to risk their health and possibly their life in order to vote?
Listen up. This matters. I'm Louis Black, and this is the Civil Liberties Minute with ACLU attorney Bill Newman.
The answer is, of course not. That's absurd and unnecessary, and it undermines democracy by forcing so many would-be voters to stay home. The solution is vote by mail. 5 states, Utah, Colorado, Washington, Oregon, and Hawaii, all conduct their elections by mail now, without incident. And those experiences put to lie the argument that somehow voting by mail is rife with fraud. It's just not. So why oppose voting by mail? Well, the Speaker of the Georgia House of Representatives explained, quote, "It certainly would drive up turnout, which would be devastating to Republicans and conservatives in Georgia." President Trump apparently agrees. He said, quote, "These levels of voting, you'd never have a Republican elected in this country again," which is contradicted by the experience in Utah, which has mail-in voting and has elected Republicans to every high elected position in the state and in the United States Congress as well. But the message is clear. Keep people from voting. That's the goal, a goal which, if successful, would put a knife into the heart of democracy. The time for mail-in voting is now.
The Civil Liberties Minute is made possible by the American Civil Liberties Union because freedom can't defend itself.
I'm Rick Smith, and this is Labor History in 2. On this day in labor history, the year was 1999. A headline from the Los Angeles Times declared dock crews to halt work in support of death row inmate. Up and down the West Coast, the ports stood silent. The International Longshoremen and Warehousemen's Union had called their members off the job for a one-day strike. They did this to protest the death sentence for Mumia Abdul-Jamal. Mumia was a black activist and journalist who was on death row accused of killing a police officer in Philadelphia. Yet many peace and justice activists in the United States and beyond have questioned the evidence leading to his conviction. In October of 1998, the Pennsylvania State Supreme Court rejected an appeal from Mumia. Jack Heyman, a member of the executive board of the Longshoremen's Union in San Francisco, explained the context of his union's protest in a piece he wrote for the San Francisco Chronicle. He wrote, quote, "Labor and minorities share a common history of being victimized by the criminal justice system in this country. Both have long been aware of police repression and the unequal use of the death penalty against minorities and the poor. From the Haymarket martyrs who rallied workers for the 8-hour day to Harry Bridges, the Longshore Union leader targeted for deportation for being a Red, to the Black Panther Party whose program of self-defense put it on the FBI's list. In San Francisco, longshoremen chanted, 'An injury to one is an injury to all. Free Mumia Abu-Jamal.' Protests against Mumia's execution took place across Europe in cities like London, Madrid, Dublin, and Amsterdam, and by unions in France, Brazil, and South Africa. After 30 years on death row, Mumia's sentence was commuted to life without parole. He is still in prison. Labor History in 2 brought to you by the Illinois Labor History Society and The Rick Smith Show.
I read the news today, oh boy.
It's time for Nicole Sandler's What's News from NicoleSandler.com and the Progressive Voices Network.
The House of Representatives on Thursday passed a $484 billion coronavirus relief bill in a 388-5 vote. The Senate approved the package on Tuesday, and Trump is expected to quickly sign it. The deal provides $310 billion to replenish the Paycheck Protection Program, ostensibly to help small businesses continue paying employees as the coronavirus crisis shuts down much of the economy, plus another $60 billion for a separate emergency loan and grant program involving small banks in rural and urban areas. There's also $75 billion for hospitals and healthcare providers and $25 billion for coronavirus testing. Republicans had pushed to fund just Trump's request for $250 billion for the small business loan program, but Democrats insisted on adding money for hospitals and testing and other initiatives that were not in the final bill. Okay, now, just when you wondered why people still watch Trump's daily 2-hour free campaign infomercials, it might be for those unbelievable moments like we witnessed Thursday, when Donald Trump introduced a Homeland Security official who explained that sunlight and bleach can kill the coronavirus on surfaces, prompting Trump to suggest treating COVID-19 patients by hitting their lungs with ultraviolet or very powerful light, or injecting them with disinfectant?
Supposing we hit the body with a tremendous, whether it's ultraviolet or just very powerful light. And I think you said that hasn't been checked, but you're going to test it. And then I said, supposing you brought the light inside the body, which you can do either through the skin or in some other way. And I think you said you're going to test that too. Sounds interesting.
Get the right folks who could.
Right, and then I see the disinfectant where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or almost a cleaning? Because you see it gets on the lungs and it does a tremendous number of the lungs. So it'd be interesting to check that. So that you're going to have to use medical doctors with. But it sounds interesting to me. So we'll see. But the whole concept of the light, the way it kills it in 1 minute, that's pretty powerful.
Really? Not that it needs explaining, but doctors said that injecting or ingesting cleaning products was a terrible, potentially deadly idea. Dr. Vin Gupta, a pulmonologist and NBC News contributor, said it's a common method that people utilize when they want to kill themselves. And if you wonder what the rest of the world thinks about the ideas coming from the self-described stable genius, here's a bit from Friday's Good Morning Britain TV show. The medical expert speaking is Dr. Hilary Jones.
Do you know, I've heard some crazy things in my life, but this is probably one of the craziest. To use a disinfectant and inject it into the human body is not only toxic and highly poisonous, but would do no good whatsoever. It would cause inflammation of human tissues and not touch the virus at all, which actually lives in human cells, not on the surface of them. So he's completely and utterly crazy to even suggest this. Secondly, his other suggestion was to use the power of sunlight. Yes. In that some sort of sunlight inside the body would eradicate the virus. Again, the virus lives inside cells and replicates inside cells. It is true that the virus decays outside of the human body in ultraviolet light from the sun, but inside the body, of course, sunlight would do absolutely nothing. And then how could you get sunlight into the human body? I think this all stems from the fact that President Trump probably thinks that sunlight emerges from parts of his body.
New York Governor Andrew Cuomo on Thursday announced that nearly 14% of 3,000 supermarket shoppers tested in the state of New York were found to have the coronavirus antibodies in their system. More than 21% of the roughly 1,300 tests on people in New York City came back positive. The accuracy of antibody testing in the U.S. has been questioned, but Cuomo said if the results provide a true picture, nearly 2.7 million people in the state and 1.7 million in New York City have been exposed, far more than the 250,000 infections officially recorded in the state. Well, we've reached Friday, the day that a handful of states are taking their chances and lifting some coronavirus restrictions, including Georgia, Oklahoma, Alaska, and Texas. South Carolina began on Tuesday, reportedly blindsiding frontline staff with the move. The Washington Post is reporting that Georgia's Republican Governor Brian Kemp announced he'd let tattoo parlors, hair salons, and bowling alleys reopen without receiving guidance from the panel of doctors in place to advise him and without giving advance notice to regional health departments responsible for carrying out his orders. In Utah, the governor lifted a statewide lockdown on elective procedures before his medical supply team had finished estimating how quickly hospitals would exhaust their supply of personal protective equipment. And plans to ease restrictions on economic activity and public assembly in Tennessee have been met by dread among emergency management officials who are in, quote, complete disbelief that we are reopening the state. This according to a person involved in the planning who, like others, spoke on the condition of anonymity for fear of professional retribution. The Associated Press is reporting that Donald Trump and Mike Pence repeatedly both told Georgia Governor Brian Kemp that they approved of his aggressive plan to allow businesses to reopen just a day before Trump pulled an about-face and publicly bashed the plan. The green light from Pence and Trump came in separate private conversations with the governor before Kemp announced his plan to ease the restrictions and after it was unveiled on Monday. Wow. Meanwhile, thankfully, Donald Trump is facing scrutiny over the removal of Dr. Rick Bright from his position leading an office working on a coronavirus vaccine. Bright led the Biomedical Advanced Research and Development Authority, BARDA, and oversaw development and purchasing of vaccines and medicines to combat the coronavirus. On Tuesday, Trump removed him from his position. Bright said it was retaliation for his insistence that the administration stick to investing in scientifically proven treatments. Now, House Democrats are calling for the Health and Human Services Inspector General to investigate his ousting. Bright's lawyers confirmed that the doctor will be filing a whistleblower complaint. Stay tuned. He was ousted from his post for pushing back against Trump's push of hydroxychloroquine as a coronavirus treatment. The complaint will detail Bright's allegation that he was ousted as director of the agency responsible for developing the drugs to fight the pandemic in retaliation for raising science-based concerns about White House pressure on treatment and vaccines. Senator Elizabeth Warren announced Thursday that her oldest brother, Don Reed Herring, died from coronavirus this week. He was 86. In a series of tweets, Warren said he was charming and funny, a natural leader. Warren thanked the medical staff who took care of him, but added, quote, "It's hard to know that there was no family to hold his hand or to say I love you one more time, and no funeral for those of us who loved him to hold each other close." Sad. And we've reached another milestone. On Friday morning, the reported death toll from COVID-19 in the United States passed the 50,000 mark. 50,000 Americans dead in 2 months. Stay safe, everyone. And that's just a bit of what's news for now. I'm Nicole Sandler. If you appreciate these reports and the Nicole Sandler Show, I hope you'll consider making a contribution. My work is 100% listener supported, and I can't do it without your help. Find out more at NicoleSandler.com. Please click on that donate button.
Thank you for accompanying us here to the Chef's Table at West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy Blue Moon Spirits Fridays. We always begin weather from around the world along the banks of the Rogue River and the Rogue River Valley of southern Oregon on the west coast of the continental United States of America, where it is currently 58 degrees Fahrenheit, going to a high of 74 degrees yet. We will have rain showers this morning with some sunshine during the afternoon. High once again around 74 to 75. Winds will be light and variable, and it looks like we're expecting somewhere around a tenth of an inch. So hopefully we'll get that, and it will be good. Overnight lows will be in the low 50s, partly cloudy skies, and winds will be light and variable. Cloudy early tomorrow with partial sunshine expected late. Highs only in the low 70s. Winds out of the west at 5 to 10 miles per hour over the weekend. And coronavirus infections stand at 48. We had come down because they had misdiagnosed one previously. It turned out to be something other than coronavirus. So we are at 48 cases in Jackson County here in southern Oregon, and no one has deceased in this time. So we did a good thing by shutting down when we did. Grass pollen locally is rated high. The air quality index in the region is at 20 parts per million, which is in the good range, and the daytime UV index remains high, though it has come down 1 notch to 6. Barometric pressure is falling at 30.24 inches. Visibility is at 7 miles, and relative humidity is at 78%. Weather from around the world is brought to you by people's personal weather stations that they purchased. These people planted these purchased personal weather stations somewhere on their property, and these people positively live around the world. London is 70 degrees and sunny with their coronavirus-infected prime minister about ready to come back to work. Paris is 75 degrees and sunny, with some rioting happening in the poorer suburbs around Paris because being sheltering in place because of coronavirus. Rome is 68 and sunny, but it doesn't seem to be heat and sun is getting rid of the coronavirus there. Kyiv is 66 and fair with increasing numbers of coronavirus. Kabul is 63 and partly cloudy with coronavirus. Hong Kong is 64 and mostly cloudy with people not wanting to shelter in place because of coronavirus. Tokyo is 46 and partly cloudy, and the whole nation is about to get on lockdown because of their increasing numbers and deaths because of coronavirus. Sydney, Australia is 61 and clear, and that Prime Minister Morrison is trying to take advantage of the coronavirus. San Francisco, California is 53 and sunny, and it was a good thing that that whole region did what they did when they shut down the region because of coronavirus. And New York is 46 degrees Fahrenheit with rain, which will help people shelter in place because of coronavirus. And that is weather from around the world, brought to you by people's personal weather stations that they purchased. These people planted these purchased personal weather stations somewhere on their property, and these people positively live around the world. Ubiquitous anonymous worker bees, this time at Associated Press, bring us this first amuse-bouche here at the chef's table at West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy. Blue Moon Spirits Fridays. Greenlanders said they welcome U.S. investment in their island, but the money has to come without conditions. The U.S. administration is expected to announce the opening of a U.S. agency for international development at the new American consulate in the capital, Nuuk, and confirm at least $12 million in new aid projects. The announcement expected in Washington will come less than a year after Trump drew derision for expressing an interest in buying Greenland, which is part of the Danish realm. Already, suggestions of a greater U.S. presence in Greenland have been met with criticism in Greenland and in Denmark.
Je te donne c'est mon amour pour la vie entière. La promesse de me trouver à tes genoux. Aussitôt que tu m'appelles, rester toujours fidèle. C'est tout, c'est tout. Je te donne tous mes printemps, mes étés de mer. Mes automnes, quand les feuilles tombent partout. Si ce n'est pas une bonne affaire, je te donne tous mes hivers.
Anonymous worker bees, this time from Reuters, bring us this final amuse-bouche here at the chef's table at West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy. A U.S. warship has sailed through the sensitive Taiwan Strait for the second time in a month, Taiwanese and U.S. military said today, amid heightened tensions between Taiwan and China, and as a Chinese aircraft carrier passed near the island. China, which considers Taiwan its own, has been angered by the Trump administration's stepped-up support for the island. Taiwan's defense ministry said the U.S. warship had transited the narrow Taiwan Strait that separates the island from its giant neighbor in a southerly direction and was continuing to sail south. Taiwan's armed forces monitor the ship, which it described as being on an ordinary mission, the ministry added, without providing further details. Indeed. Well, that brings us to the end of our broadcast period for the day and the week, and you do know Netroots Radio will broadcast on. In fact, we'll meet up on Monday for River City Hash Mondays. So do stay tuned to Netroots Radio all day and all night for all the breaking news as it breaks. And we'll meet up here tomorrow, right here. So do stay tuned to Netroots Radio all day, all night, and all weekend for all the breaking news as it breaks. And we'll meet up here on Monday, right here, in West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy. Bon appetit.
Je voudrais du soleil vert, des dentelles et des théières, des photos de bord de mer, dans mon jardin d'hiver. Je voudrais de la lumière, comme en Nouvelle-Angleterre. Je veux changer d'atmosphère, dans mon jardin d'hiver. Robe à fleurs, sous la pluie de novembre, tes mains qui courent, je n'en peux plus de t'attendre. Les années passent, qu'il est loin, là je tombe. Nul ne peut nous entendre. Je voudrais du Fred Astaire, revoir un latte Goël. Je voudrais toujours te plaire, dans mon jardin d'hiver. Je veux déjeuner par terre, comme au long de golfe clair. T'embrasser les yeux ouverts, dans mon jardin d'hiver. Sous la pluie de novembre, tes mains qui courent, je n'en peux plus de t'attendre. Les années passent, il est loin, là je tombe. Nul ne peut nous entendre. Ba-da-da-dum-di-da-dum. 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 Dans mon jardin d'hiver. Ba-da-da-dum-di-da-dum.